When we signed off our video last night, we were kind of half joking about having a night off, nice relaxing evening. And within a couple of hours, there was more news out there, some big news regarding Hearts. This time that James Penrice looks set to leave the club, or at least is going through some of the motions that would suggest he is on the verge of leaving the club. To discuss that, I am with Joel Sked. Joel, how are you doing? This is kind of, these trips, I guess, can kind of be like a bit of a lottery, but I suspect you thought that this trip was going to be a little bit more relaxing for you than it has been overall.
I didn't think it was going to be relaxing, just because with the two friendlies and going up to like see training and speaking to a lot of people, so I knew there was going to be a lot of stuff going on, and having plenty to do to keep me occupied, and it wasn't just going to be a jolly. But I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to be in front of my laptop so much as I have been over the last 4 or 5 days or so.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning. I was not for a second trying to imply that these things are a jolly. You're still doing a full-time working week. I was just more meaning that I thought you'd maybe have some evenings to just enjoy some al fresco dinner, a couple of pints, and then just go back to your hotel without having to worry about any of this stuff for 5 minutes. Just before we do talk about that and a few other related subjects, Hearts Standard is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your transfer request, then head over to S1 Jobs and upload your CV today. With thousands of jobs across Edinburgh and the surrounding area, you'll find the one at S1 Jobs. Start your search today. Now, as I said, James Penrice is the big news. Do you want to bring people up to date, Joel, on what the latest on that is, please?
Yeah, it seems that it's moved very quickly, considering I spoke to him on Tuesday for an exclusive interview that will never see the light of day. And he did speak about his future, because I just asked him what's like dealing with transfer speculation, and he was quite interested on it. Said that he had a kind of smirk on his face, but I just assumed he was anticipating the question. So I don't know how far along the move was at that point, but he talked about, and it's something we'll come on to talk about. Basically, he had conversations with the club and Graham Jones, and about the situation where essentially he was not up for sale, but like he was on. I think Hearts would be willing to listen to interest because of how big an asset he is, and just about that policy that we'll come on and discuss shortly. But yeah, then obviously moved very quickly and merged. I think it was Fabrizio Romano put out last night, and he left the camp this morning, said his goodbye to teammates. He was there yesterday when Shankland arrived, but he left this morning, and I think he's away to, it was reported he's away to the Netherlands to meet up with AEK Athens, Greek side who finished fourth in the top flight last season. They'll play in the Conference League next season ahead of a £2 million deal that should get Hearts a sell on as well. But yeah, so it's a transfer that's progressed quite rapidly, and one that's probably a good move for like all parties with the money and the fact that he's come in on a free, and Hearts have been able to give him the platform, and he took the platform and performed really well last season, and now is on the move to Europe.
Yeah, it's come out of the blue, but not unexpected. I know you can read into things a bit too much, but I did point out that he wasn't used in any of the promo material for the new strips when they were coming out, and I thought that maybe was a sign, because you wouldn't want to put somebody who's clearly a sellable asset. And as you were alluding to there, this is something that Hearts fans, I think, will have to get used to. There are going to be times when players are at their peak, or you're getting excited to see how they're going to fit into the new look team going into the next season, and then they're snapped up by somebody, because if somebody comes in and meets their valuation, that's typically what's going to happen, unless the club reason that it's better for them. If they're in some sort of like a cup run or something along those lines, where they feel it's better, they've got more chance of winning that if they keep that asset. That would be more like a January decision rather than a start of the season one, I would imagine. But Joel, it seems to be that this is possibly the first example of Hearts moving into that era where there was talk recently with the Bloom deal being completed and all that kind of stuff, that moving away from benefactors and to something more sustainable. And this is one of the examples that we're talking about, selling your sellable assets at peak value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that's been talked about over the last few years about Hearts and not being able to player trade almost, and that's going to be a big thing going forward, is giving players a platform, selling them hopefully for good profits, and then reinvesting in the squad and being able to reinvest, then being able to invest more in the squad, and hopefully it gets a positive kind of cycle. And you just look again, they're just the easy comparison because it's what Hearts will kind of look to do. Union Saint-Gilloise, if you went to look at their transfers since I think it was 2021, 22, or it's 2021, 22, or season before, where they spent less than €1 million, and then the following season, over the season, then the following season it was over €1 million, and then it jumped to like €7 million, and then it's like €16 million, and then €20 million, and that's because they still made a significant profit each season from selling players. So that's essentially what they've done, is they've been able to bring players in, give them that platform, and then sell them for a lot of money, and then that's allowed them to spend more money and shop in different markets and go for players that they maybe weren't able to go for before. And I think that's the idea for Hearts, and that's what we hope with the players that arrive at this window and the players that Hearts have been linked to.
On a replacement, we can't really say too much other than what the process will be. You think there would already be ones identified, given what we're talking about, that James Penrice was a sellable asset. This day could come. You'd imagine they've already got some identified, but it is going to be interesting. That's the exciting part, isn't it? Seeing who comes in next to replace them, because again, we're kind of in this exciting new era.
Yeah, I'll be speaking to Derek McInnes later on tonight after the friendly, and get a better idea of what the plan is going forward. But I do think that will be interesting, and I know you've got a couple of things to say about it, but Harry Milne, I think him gives him a platform. I just look at him and see a player who I think Derek McInnes will like a lot. Not double checked it, but I think he might have worked under Archibald when Archibald is assistant to Ian McCall at Partick Thistle as well. But then you've got Stephen Kingsley as potentially a backup there as well. So there is bodies there, but I think it'll be interesting to see whether they look to move on someone to compete with Harry Milne, or they will put their trust in Harry Milne that he'll be the left back.
Yeah, let's just, I was going to come back to him later on, but let's just talk about him now that he's come up. Yeah, I think it was quite a curious signing in January, and I think I'd say that even with hindsight, I'd say that even now, and I don't mean that as any ill will towards the guy or his ability or anything like that. I've frankly not seen enough of him yet, and I'm excited to see what he's going to be like this season. I would have said that if Penrice was hanging about, to see how he could compete with them, and how many chances he would get and that kind of thing. But I just think that if you look back on, we thought he was kind of being brought in to give Penrice a rest. It looked like at one point that Penrice was being run into the ground, and the only games he really missed under Critchley were through suspension. And then the one game that Milne did play, he played alongside Penrice, and he played in a back three rather than at left back, and we didn't see him until the end of the season. So yeah, it was a bit of a curious signing, but I am quite excited now. If we're talking, assuming this Penrice transfer goes through, and maybe if he doesn't, he maybe goes somewhere else. But if you look ahead to the League Cup matches, I've got no qualms about him going into that and starting the season with Harry Milne as the left back. I do think he's someone who has just been on a constant upwards trajectory, and I'm not saying that he doesn't have a ceiling or anything like that, but I think in the flashes we've seen of him, Rugby Park aside, although that was a very much a dead rubber, weird atmosphered match. I don't know if you agree, but I'm kind of excited to see what he can bring over the next couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. And my kind of excitement or encouragement was kind of heightened when watching training, and he looks really comfortable. It's the way I'd put it. It was both defensively and attacking wise. There was, and then he was solid enough in the friendly as well. So I do think there's scope for him to be someone who kind of emerges this season, almost because Hearts fans have not really seen the best of him or that much of him, just with the nature of him coming in and then not really getting much of a chance under Critchley, but at the same time having Penrice in front of him. So yeah, I'm like you. I think I'd be more than happy for him to be starting against Dunfermline in the League Cup games, and then potentially being given that runway or exposure to kind of make that left back spot his own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I think he's got the potential to do it. Let's go back to Penrice then and just kind of finish off by talking about his time at the club so far. We can still call it at this point. But if he is to go, first of all, what I want to say actually is there was talk about, some of the talk about Shankland coming back has been about the personality that he brings and well liked in that dressing room. I think, first of all, that's going to be something that will be missed. Before you talk about anything on field, he does come across as somebody who has that personality and would be well liked in the and also like command respect as well within the dressing room. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, he's I think he's really popular, not just with the players as well, but it's just the staff as a whole. As having dealt with him a few times, a really nice guy. He's happy to kind of chat away beyond just doing the usual interview, and really happy for him personally to get this move and to get this opportunity, because he's had quite a stop-start or slow burn start to his career. You look at him now, he's 27, but it feels like he's a lot younger. I know we joked about it. I think it was when he was described as like a young Andy Robertson or whatever it was earlier last season. But it's just because he's mainly played in the lower leagues and he's had a couple of setbacks, but he's kind of, COVID was a big moment for him where he really got his head down and worked at all aspects of his game, whether it was kind of nutrition or kind of looking at your condition, and then that's really helped him become the player that he has been. And it's he's definitely going to be a big miss.
Yes, he is. He is one of Hearts' better players, and Hearts will have to instantly, maybe not so much change the way they play, but I wouldn't say. I think you get a lot of the same things from Harry Milne as you do from James Penrice, but they are still very much different players. But yeah, he was a key player of the Hearts team, and there's no saying that even if Harry Milne's a good player for Hearts and a good left back, there's no saying that he's going to come in and be a key player in the same way that James Penrice was. And James Penrice proved that even when Hearts were atrocious last season. We've referenced this a few times, but I think the mark of how well he's done at Hearts last season, not just all the awards and things like that, he was the one positive that we were talking about during that, was it eight league matches that started the season, something along those lines. I can't remember exactly the stats. I've buried it deep in my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. He was because you have to remember when he arrived and then Hearts signed Andrea Salazar, there was more excitement about Andrea Salazar because he was a Colombian international. He was coming from a big team, and you're kind of thinking, right, that'll be Penrice is maybe going to be the backup. Penrice was always confident of coming in and replacing Alex Cochrane, but he also had the humility to just go, right, it might be a case of taking time to bed into Hearts and then kind of grow into it. But he never really hit the ground running. He showed why he was confident that he'd be able to replace Alex Cochrane. And that was the big thing. It was like, you never felt at one moment last season like, oh, Hearts miss Cochrane. And it started from the Rangers game, the Rangers game 0-0. And because he played his first minutes in the friendly the week before against Fleetwood because of his injury at Livingston that came in, they ruled him out for the last few months of the previous season. he was being managed, and then he was one of the few positives in the Fleetwood game. But then he was kind of overshadowed in the Rangers game because of Gerald Taylor's performance, and everyone was talking about him. But then Gerald Taylor went the way he did. Penrice just continued to go up and up, and he was such an important player, attacking-wise, solid defensively as well. And when you're talking about Milne won't have the same impact, you're kind of hoping Milne's not going to have the same impact or importance, because you're hoping that there's going to be other important attacking players that take away that responsibility. But yeah, it was just from start to finish, it was just an excellent season from James Penrice, and capped off with being in the team of the season and winning the individual awards that Hearts end of season do.
Yeah, fair point. We will wrap up there, unless there's anything else you're wanting to add before we get out of here, Joel.
No, it was. I don't think so. Just to say that we will be back tomorrow in some form to go back over the friendly tonight. Just with logistics, it would be difficult to do. It was difficult doing a video after the game tonight. So that's why we jumped on and done one on Penrice just now, and then to kind of talk about the game tomorrow. Other than that, yeah, there's loads of stuff on Hearts Standard for you to get your teeth into. Derek McInnes confirmed that Liam McFarlane's about to move out on loan. There's some info on that in an article on the site, and a piece on Lawrence Shankland and why he was worth waiting for, etc., etc. So be sure to check them out. I mean, we'll have stuff from the friendly again later on tonight.
I will link those in the description, not the friendly stuff. I don't have access to that yet, but you can find that at heartstandard.co.uk from some point this evening or tomorrow. Please give us a wee subscribe if you haven't already. We're getting really, really close to 3,000, and we will see you all again soon.